Very emotional episode, Aabria.
Yes.
Gotta talk about Rue's
Yes.
big reveal.
Yes.
I remember when you said you're like, I'm going to like show up as myself, and then things happen.
And then I think with the glamour, there was an air about them that they felt like they were untouchable. It was time. It was time to do it.
It was such a
know?
beautiful reveal.
Yeah.
And it was crazy because it is an allegory for coming out and being your authentic self. And I think in terms of being a queer person, it's about survival. This idea of like, well, I have to look like someone from the Court of Wonder to be taken seriously as someone from the Court of Wonder, and being very successful at hiding and getting a lot of praise for being this way. And there's a panic, I mean, you know, like speaking personally of like what would happen if I stopped acting as someone that I was not and started living my life as someone that I actually have always been. And there's a lot of fear, there's a lot of panic, there's like legit, like there's some scary repercussions there. And it was sort of great to have, for the most part, a very positive reaction to the unglamorizing of Rue. Like the amount of fear that I, as Oscar, had for Rue, like I felt very protective of them. And then when everyone literally took their time to be like, thank you for that, it just made me think about all the queer children who have been living or like putting on their glamours, and of just like, I want the world to accept them in the way that the Fae accepted Rue. This unmasking of self is the biggest action queer people can make, you know? So I think it is just like a sort of declaration and encouragement to everyone watching out there that support people being their authentic selves. Because it made Rue feel very comfortable. It made me, being like the creator of Rue, feel like very comfortable. It was great.
I think there's something so interesting, again, going back to the fact that like you, for the most part, developed your characters out and away from each other. That we ended up with two characters with like deep disguise things as
From the same court.
From the
too,
same
which is
court.
so-
But then that's like the moment that those conversations started happening, it became very apparent what the Court of Wonder was going to be. That it is very easy to map it as an allegory for like acceptability and popularity. To enter in and be accepted, the easiest thing you can do as like a marginalized identity is be as close to the mainstream, even if you're giving up parts of yourself, and become an exemplar, like however you can, so that if and when you do finally say like, this is who I am, you've like waded through the like acceptability politics of being who you are. And it's never to denigrate like what Rue went through, but I think it's so interesting to think about the fact that like when they were first kind of moving through those spaces, they were always as talented and always as charming and as charismatic. But that little heartbreaking idea that like they had to sit and hide themselves and be excellent under the most adverse circumstances in order to finally like come out and be themselves. And of course everyone's gonna say like, oh, it's amazing and lovely, but like there's just something about like the intersectional part of it that like super resonate with as a queer Black woman, of like, you had to be perfect in order to have this moment. And there was just, as someone who was like, for the game, I'm not taking this away from you. Like there's always, it was a die roll, so it could have gone differently.
When you come out, it is a dice roll every time.
Every time. It's interesting. Anyway, that got really deep, and this is not a funny, fun one. Fuck, I forgot we were a comedy show.
Have to be funny fun.
Deeply. Let's talk about you guys spending literally an entire episode stacked.
You know,
I kind of think it's the best we can do. We should stay about 15 feet away, stacked on top of each other. not causing a fuss. We gave space to what needed space and just stayed on each other's shoulders, letting different people applaud for us.
Truly mature and hospitable.